Welcome back to AFTV, guys. Welcome back to another live show. I'm here with Turkish. How you doing?
All good.
Yeah.
You're not on Sky Sports now.
Oh my God.
You're back with me.
I'm back with you.
Yeah.
I love this though.
Welcome home, man.
Where's Dave Jordan to give me, some entertainment?
Big up as well. Well done on the little Sky Sports feature. That was good, man. Well represented.
I appreciate that a lot. It was, I was very nervous.
Yeah,
it's
was it your first time on a major network?
It was, and also kind of when you're doing AFTV, like I know the audience, and like you got the live comment section, we interact with them, whatever. With this, you don't know who's watching. Obviously, all the Sky Sports News fans. But it was good. No, I enjoyed it, and it was nice to actually. Because they were asking questions generally about the transfer window, it's quite nice to kind of reflect on it. And when we do these news shows, we're kind of going day by day, all the latest news. We did some reflecting on the Forever Arsenal podcast, which is out now. Go check it out. But it was nice, actually, just to kind of get their perspective a little bit and also get some thoughts.
No, well done.
Thank you.
Let me not catch you on there saying anything good about Kroenke just yet, yeah?
The next one.
Otherwise, we won't be sitting together here doing a live.
Yeah, why the Kroenkes are the greatest owners since. Yeah, but no, and I've seen a few comments, so thank you guys, I really appreciate it. But we are, back to business because Arsenal are now really speeding things up on the outgoings side of things. And we were just having a good actually chat with our colleague Cass, weren't we, in the office about how Arsenal got a lot of their business done. As pre-season sort of started, we're now seeing the focus on outgoings. And it's not the kind of news that gets me like, oh, what's everyone saying? It's kind of, okay, Balogun's going on loan, that's good. Yeah. Leno's on his way, fine. Torreira's finally gone. And, we've got to talk about these guys. We've got to talk about what Arsenal are getting in these deals, not just in terms of money, but also what it's doing for squad space and what it's doing for maybe the general just clear out of the squad. Starting with Leno, we've talked about this a few times, but it's all but done now, isn't it?
Yeah, 8 million. We've lowered the fee. I think now it's come to the season. I think that's what Arsenal seem to be waiting for. Mm-hmm. When push comes to shove for the other teams interested, maybe Betis in Bellerin, Fiorentina and Torreira, Fulham and Leno, they was hoping that their asking price would be matched. And I don't think 11 million is too much for Leno. I still think that's quite a bargain for Fulham, but they've held out, and it seems like they've saved another few mil.
I think it's an absolute bargain for them.
Of course it is,
I think it wasn't that long ago he was a 20-30 million pound goalkeeper who was keeping us in games. I'm not joking. That season we finished 8th. When we finished 8th, we won the FA Cup. Yeah. We finished 8th 2 years in a row, but we were lingering around 9th and 11th for almost all that season. Mm-hmm. It happened to just be a little something at the end that kind of got us over the line. Over the line to 8th. But the point is, it was looking even worse than that. And I reflect on a lot of those seasons as, especially the 1921, as we'd genuinely have been in the bottom half if it wasn't for Leno.
Yeah, listen, I welcome the improvement on Leno because in terms of playing at the back, Ramsdale definitely improved us. Obviously, shot stopping is another debate, and I think Leno probably trumps him there. But I wouldn't say good memories with Leno, but there's no bad memories with Leno. I think he done all right for us. When you look at the keepers we had before him and some of the calamities we've had in goal, he was a welcome upgrade on that. But when it comes to modern day football, playing at the back, a lot of us were dubious with the Ramsdale stuff last summer, but we've seen what Ramsdale brings that Leno doesn't and didn't do before.
Well, isn't it funny? What's that stupid phrase about a London bus? You don't see one, then two come along, something like that. It's like, for years, I was begging for a top goalkeeper. I remember being on my knees for Mark Schwarzer.
Can you imagine?
I was like, please bring in Schwarzer.
But at that time, he was definitely upgrading what we had.
I remember reading BBC Sport, and it would say Arsenal have bid 2, but Fulham want 3 million. Yeah. I was like, you're joking.
And we couldn't get that over the line.
Yeah, and then Wenger or whoever went, nah, we'll leave it. And I just, we were linked to Shay Given.
Yep.
There were so many. I thought, just get these keepers in, and we never did. And actually, I think you can say our last 3 first team goalkeepers, so Ramsdale, Leno, Emi Martinez, are, in my opinion, the 3 best goalkeepers of the Emirates era.
Yeah.
I think Szczesny's got an argument, but I think we've seen the best of Szczesny post-Arsenal. I think he was a bit erratic still and younger when he was with us.
Yeah, I like Szczesny a lot personally because he came through the club and he knew what it was all about, especially those North London derbies. He was always up for it.
He did know what it was about, I agree. But I just think those 3 were and are the 3 best goalkeepers I think we've seen in the Emirates Series. It's just quite funny how, for so long we had a team that needed, let's say, a proper goalkeeper and a real striker, and now we've kind of got, we finally got we had Leno, but we didn't necessarily have the team. So anyway, but I wish him all the best, and I'm glad he's got his move. He's able to stay in London. He's able to play for a Premier League side that I'll be honest, I'm not tipping them to stay up, but there's every chance they will. They have got real Premier League history, actually, despite the last 5-6 years. And I think he'll do really well for them. I think he'll come out of this season as one of the standout goalkeepers because he's a top shot stopper. Yeah,
and listen, when you sign up to these lower half of the table teams, the one that's going to be in and around the relegation bout, you're going to have to deal with a lot of shots. So he's probably in the ideal stomping ground for where he is at this point of his career, age. He seems to like London. I think his agent even flirted with the idea of him staying at Arsenal if he didn't get a move this summer. So he's got what he wanted. Doesn't have to move too far if he has to move at all. He's in the Premier League. He's starting goalkeeper for Fulham. Yeah, it's, good luck to him. That's all I really have to say. Good luck to him. 8 million. Poor business again by us there, but at the same time our hands are pretty much tied behind our back. You look at the amount of senior players we have, and other teams know the amount of senior players we have. They know we're going to have to get rid of. We're talking about today Leno, Pablo Murray, Torreira maybe. There's still 3-4 more that need to leave after those names. So it's good that we're getting it done now because the transfer window is going to close real fast. I know we're in the last 4 weeks of it now or so. It's going to come around real quick, and we need another midfield reinforcement. And if the outgoings can help with what we receive, 8 million here, 7 million there, let's just do what we need to do now. Clear the decks, bring in that one more midfielder, and hopefully it's happy days.
JC says don't disrespect Schwarzer. No, he was a good goalkeeper I think he was at Fulham before he want to say he got a move to Chelsea as a backup keeper, I think, there, but he was a good keeper. Jay says Leno's very overrated by our fan base. He made more errors leading to goals than 98% of goalkeepers in the league. But I mean, I can't remember. I need to look at that. But I think that's one of those stats that's slightly unfair. I think they might look at certain things that really, they'll put certain things down as an error. Let me give you this example. I know you used to watch a bit of tennis. It's like when they used to say a player hit an unforced error, but actually what it's not taking into account is how you've hit 15 shots in that rally and you're playing against Djokovic who keeps hitting it to the back of it. Yes, it's unforced, but actually it's not.
There's more to it.
Yeah, and I think errors by goalkeepers are sometimes judged a little bit wrongly.
JC here says Leno was always solid despite our defence, and I think when you think about the names we had in defence, that adds some context to the mistakes and the moments Leno had in those times. But overall, like I said, it's not great memories with Leno, but there's not necessarily bad memories of him too. Yes, at times there was mistakes here and there, but when you had the defence we had over those last 3-4 years, we became used to it. It was about fixing the defence first.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So that's it. Bernd Leno's on his way to Fulham. He's going to get his move. 8 million. Yes, it's less than we want, but I think that is just reflective of where the club still is in this transition of squad building. If you want to command big fees, quite frankly, you're going to lose players you don't want to lose. That's a reality. Chelsea have somewhat been masters of recuperating fees for players that clearly didn't look at it, but look how much harder they're finding it. And the only reason they're able to do that is because they really had no financial repercussions for keeping these players and sending them on loan away. They didn't really care. So they're able to say, listen, pay up the 40 mil or whatever, move on.
That's why I'm shocked at us at this moment in time. It wasn't that long ago that we could only loan players. Our wage structure was in the mud. So I'm hoping that we don't get back into that area again, and I think Champions League football this season is massive for us now because we've spent a lot in the last couple of years, last 2-3 years.
It's an investment, really.
We need to start, being in the top competitions, getting that revenue in, and building even further.
Yeah, I think from a purely numbers perspective, and I know we always try to talk about football on the emotional side of things and on the pitch, but from the numbers, the finances side of things, I think the plan is short-term pain for long-term gain. I think it's a case of, listen, you're gonna. The books won't be balanced for a bit. You're going to have to spend a little bit more than you want to now, but back this project or whatever you want to call it, and in 3 years' time you'll reap the rewards. That is what investing is sometimes. That's what running a business is. It's cutting your losses here and putting money elsewhere and trying to start something new to then recoup. That's, And I think a little bit Arsenal are going through that. And the reality is, this has never really been a popular opinion of mine on AFTV, but if in a year or two's time, Arsenal are getting 65, 75 million pound bids for Bukayo Saka, that might even be low for some people, but whatever, make it 85. The point remains, then Arsenal are doing something right. People shouldn't scoff at the idea that Man City want to come pay for our players and that means, you know, we're not running right. If we are producing that level of player that commands that kind of fee, and we have the infrastructure in place to go, that's great, because we've listed 5 replacements already. Thanks to the 85, we'll buy you for 25, we go again. That's what Liverpool did. And that's what a lot of the best clubs do.
That's the biggest improvement we've made since the Kroenkes have taken full ownership, or since Arteta's come in. I don't know, however someone wants to look at it. Over the last 3-4 years, the greatest improvements we've made, it can't be league position because the league positions have dwindled. But the greatest improvements we've made is assets. 3-4 years ago, Arsenal didn't have assets, and by assets I mean players that other teams want and they paid top dollar for. Over the years, we've got a few assets now, a few players that would command a huge fee. Obviously, you don't want to lose your best players, but at the same time, Liverpool didn't want to lose Coutinho. They, but that was the stepping stone they needed to build what they have now become. So, it's good that we've got assets. That's the best thing that's happened in the last 3-4 years. But assets, I'm not going to tell my kid about assets in 20 years. No,
exactly. But absolutely, it's just all a part of. It's just acknowledging that it's a big part of.
The football business.
The football business and the potential of long-term future when we know we can't just spend whatever we want forever. And the last couple of summers have been a lot better. But I always like going into this topic. I do think it's interesting. I agree in terms of assets. I think Arsenal are looking well placed. Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Odegaard. Who else do you want to chuck in there? Saliba. Yeah, absolutely. Gabriel, Ben White. Some of them, came for big money, but generally they're going to command very, very decent fees if they were to leave. The idea is you keep them, you keep building on them, and actually the revenue streams comes from our success. That's what we hope. But
pay extra care and detail to it all now, because we've let it slide for so long, and that's what put us in the position we was in. 10 years of neglect. So let's make sure that these owners don't neglect us again.
City are the example where if you look at Zinchenko's gone for 30 to 32. Jesus 45, Sterling 50, I want to say. So, they've commanded big fees and maybe recouped, 120, 125 million there. Because people know that City were happy to sell, but didn't necessarily want to, if that makes sense. There's a slight difference between, you pay up, we'll do a deal, but we're not actively looking to get rid of these players. And there's such a big difference, because then we saw Arsenal saying we'll do 30, 35 for Jesus. They're going, no, we want 45. And ultimately, you haggle till eventually you get up to City's price. And I think that's what puts them in these positions to actually say, because no one's looking at City going, well, they've got to get rid of these players. And that's what Arsenal, I hope, will achieve when it comes to the outgoings in the coming years. But
because generally over the years, what do they say? It's a seller's market.
Yes.
Or something along those lines, because of the high transfer fees going around and
yes,
whatnot.
But you're right. For a while, it absolutely was.
But with Arsenal,
market.
It's been the buyer's market. Because they've had the strength. They have the cards on their hand, because they know that it hasn't really gone the way we want it to go. Look at Torreira, for example. He had a good season in Italy, and they still don't want to pay 10 million for him. But when push comes to shove, it looks like we're doing it now, and that's what we just got to do. We've done well in reshaping the side over the years. Let's just finish off the job now.
Well, I think this is the last summer of Arsenal being quite kind in these windows. I think from next summer, I can't imagine too many outgoings will still be like a massive necessity. And then it'll be a case of what are you willing to pay now? We're not looking to do business. If you want to do business, you come to us and you make us an offer we can't refuse. And that's a real position, because Arsenal have shown that they can be ruthless in some ways, what with tearing up contracts and just saying get out to some players. It'll be interesting.
Let me ask you something on Leno as well. A lot of talk about obviously Turner being our backup now. There seems to be a lot of worry out there, and I get it. I don't know much of Turner from what I've seen so far. It's not the greatest, but listen, it's only pre-season. But with me, I just look at the goalkeeper situation and I say, I've never really worried about the backup keeper much.
I think it's such a weird, sorry, because I know some people in the comments and some people I know have also made this point, but I think it's a really strange thing to worry about, this idea that, but Matt Turner's a downgrade on Leno. It's like, yeah, but because Leno's a number one.
Yeah.
He's a Premier League number one. What we've had the last couple of years with Leno number one, then Martinez, and Martinez coming in and being brilliant, and then Ramsdale and Leno, that's unprecedented. That's not real. I mean,
and Martinez was happy as number 2 until those 10 games where people saw him as a number 1.
I think he surprised himself.
Yeah,
I think he was like, whoa,
that's
I'm
when
really
he
good.
asked for more.
Yeah, and I'm kidding. I don't think he did surprise himself. I think he always knew how good he was. But my point is, Turner is the US number 1, battles out with Stefan, who's been Man City's number 2, and we just seem to worry about things that Man City weren't. Why City fans weren't going around going, oh, what if Ederson gets injured? And really, if your team's good enough, your goalkeeper shouldn't have to be called upon that often.
Yeah, I never used to worry about Seaman's understudy or Lehman's understudy. And I still don't want. I look at it like your first choice keeper should be playing Premier League, Europa, Champions League, and FA Cup. The 3 main competitions, your main keeper. Backup keeper, League Cup. I don't care too much what happens there, hence why I don't care too much about the backup keeper. And yes, injuries occur. Leno got injured, Martinez came in. Last year, Ramsdale missed 1 or 2 games, Leno came in.
Sure.
It can happen, but at the end of the day, it's not the be-all and end-all. Like you just mentioned with Man City, Cavallero was their backup a while ago, no?
It was a while ago. Now they've got Stefan, now Stefan's gone. They've got another guy.
You look at it like, come on. The drop-off in quality from Ederson is vast.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what you just said is true. You don't expect your keeper to be getting injured.
Well, also, and it can happen, but I guess the other point is, my God, I had a mind blank just as I was making my point. With these number 2s, Leno's too good, so off he'll go. But in fairness to Matt Turner, he is a starting goalkeeper, international level for the United States. We haven't seen enough of him. Part of the reason I'm not worried about him is because I've got no reason to think he won't be good enough. I know. Nuremberg wasn't great. I'll be real. He didn't look great in that. I thought his distribution looked good in the Chelsea game. Didn't do anything wrong in the Orlando game, though barely tested. Everton, he played fine. We performed without him, being headline news. And, people have watched a lot more of him, experts I've spoken to, people in the comment section, they say, listen, he's a good goalkeeper. I'm just not. I think people are worrying too early, if I'm honest. I think
you worry about it if something happens to Ramsdale. I think with goalkeepers, that's what you do. You don't expect an injury. If it comes, then you worry. But every club would worry. You think Man City being a point above Liverpool come the second week of January and a big injury to Ederson, they wouldn't be worried. Of course they would have done, but that's Man City. So if their backup isn't adequate to the standards us Arsenal fans are trying to do with our backup, then surely we can understand that what number 1 choice goalkeeper wants to be number 2. At that, what number 1 choice goalkeeper wants to be number 2 at a
Man
team
City
in Europa League?
Picking up Bernd Leno and going, you know what, be our number 2. And he's going, yeah, great. No, he wants to be a number 1, and City know that, and he'd walk into Man City's number 2 position there. And,
easy.
I remember Liverpool starting the season, I want to say the 1920 season before the pandemic. I believe Adrian played a lot at the start of that season because Alisson got an injury, I think. Let me know in the comments if that's right. Didn't derail them.
No.
They got on with it.
No, you know. Like you said, I think a fuss is being made out of, at this moment in time, nothing. Obviously, if Ramsdale does pick up an injury at some point, people might refer back to this and say, well, it's something now. And it would be something then. Yeah. But then you hope that American international, or listen, we've got, is it Carl Hein?
Carl Hein.
He's Estonia international. So 2 international keepers there. Surely one of them can do a job in between and just hope
I think we're fine. I think Matt Turner will surprise people and actually show he's a very, very solid shot stopper and goalkeeper. And, I promise, I touch wood, I really hope Ramsdale's fit for the season, but I don't think we're going to have conversations around goalkeeping this season. I really hope I'm wrong, because I'm sure I just gave her the kiss of death. Elijah asks, he says, no bad memories with Leno. He's asking about that handball against Wolves. But
but
you're right, that is a bad memory. But if I remember rightly, we were already down to 10 men. We were already, screwed by the ref in that game. and it was neither here nor there really. Like it was,
And that was what I've said about him playing at the back and being comfortable on the ball and in possession and whatnot. He had a rush of blood. He came out and he just lost himself. And yes, it is a bad memory, but overall, when you look at Leno, the team he had in front of him, the defence he had in front of him, and in those seasons, the first couple of seasons, he was up there in terms of maybe top 2-3 players of our season. Not saying much considering where we finished, but at the same time, you know, he'd done the job for us.
I remember his save in the North London derby from Sissoko.
Oh yeah, that
was like, I think that it's rated, but I think it's like underrated, like because he was down, up, and then he had to swing an arm at it. To not just parry it, because you can parry it almost back in the day, but to kind of lift it over.
It's a solid strike as well.
It's a great strike. Great save. Connor says, Leno, good servant for the club, made some great saves for the Arsenal. Ryan says, big up James and my guy Turkish. Shout out foot goal from the Big Six, hilarious. Toby in the mud, love to see it, he said.
Don't worry, AFTV is going to do that next as well. I'm going to make sure James, Cecil, Robbie, all of us. Lee Judges, we'll bring him along as well. He moans about his knee nowadays, but he can use his left peg.
Dimor says, Turkish, I love your cat. Very sweet. Schwarzer says in the comments, JC says, Schwarzer took Australia to the 2006 World Cup, saving 2 penalties. Yeah, again.
I don't think you disrespected him. By saying you wanted him, you rated him, so I don't know where...
Exactly, I was making the point that I can't believe it was only 3 million and we wouldn't do the deal.
Couple super chats as well. Nelly says, Felix fits the profile perfectly, perhaps 70 million. I think they'd be wanting more for Felix considering what they paid for him, was about 110. Still very young.
That's the thing, because they spend so much, he'll always command a big fee. Did you see his goal against United the other day? You know, that's just quality. And that's...
That was the difference between the sides, yeah.
And that's what... When everyone's waxing lyrical about Jesus and I'm on that train, who's the guy who does that? You know, just that. I'm not saying finish off a great move. I'm not saying being in a great position. I'm saying the ball's come out to you, the game slowed down, cut inside, bang, goal.
Out of nowhere.
I think Jesus could be. But I think Arsenal just lack. That's why I keep going on about a winger still, a wide forward. Who's that guy who just... You know what, you were shite for 55, 60 minutes of a game and you're 1-0 up. You know what I mean? Atletico weren't great in that game.
That's why I want Champions League football. Give me Champions League this year, Arsenal, then Felix and those sorts of players should be on our agenda next summer.
Yeah. Carl says, best possible outcome this season, second place, FA Cup and Europa League winners. Then sign Bellingham in the summer and win the Champions League and the Premier League. Brilliant, just do that. There you go.
Listen, Bellingham is on the Liverpool Man City radar, so
he's definitely on the Liverpool radar.
100%.
He is destined for them, but
I think he'd work at Man City as well. So I think Pep will be keeping an eye out on that.
I'm gonna say something a little bit crazy, and it does really depend on what we achieve. I think there's a lot in place for Arsenal that if they were to get top 4, or even if you had a surprise season. Do you remember 13-14 when Brendan Rodgers and Liverpool challenged for the title, and they had Sterling and they had Suarez and all these really exciting players that no one really expected them actually to get to that level, but they did. If Arsenal were to have a season not quite like that, but something like that, and we're in the Champions League, I think we could start attracting these really top players because of the club we are, because we're in London, because of, you know, we pay good wages, and we've got to think a real culture of players there that I think people really like. I think people really take to this Arsenal group, and could see, if they see another season of progression, could see why they'd want to be a part of that.
Yeah, look at the size of our fan base.
Yeah.
We were just in Orlando and we was both surprised by the love and the support and the passion out there. And that was just Orlando. We met multiple people from multiple areas across the world, different continents. And
people from everywhere.
Arsenal's set up right now, and we've been set up for a little while, that the next star that takes us round that corner, and I don't mean Champions League football, because we all got frustrated with just Champions League football all those years ago. The next star that comes in and brings us to the glory days, or anywhere close to it, they can be a legend at this club. Yeah. You know, and in my opinion, you're right. If we have a season similar to that, if we have a season where we progress properly on last season, we're in top 4 comfortably, and you know, forget a title challenge this season because it's not going to happen, but like I said, comfortably top 4, a trophy next to it. I think you're right. Maybe not next season in terms of the Bellinghams and the players on that level, but give it a couple more years in Champions League, the size of the club, the stature of the club, and the platform for the next player to become a legend.
Yeah. And what ICAST raises something which kind of...
That's why I wanted Gnabry so much. And in the end, it's probably Champions League that cost us getting Gnabry.
Maybe.
But for me, Gnabry, if he came here, hit the ground running, we get back into Champions League, then we go challenge for a league title the next year, and then we win, like we start winning some major honours, he'd be looked at as one of the legends.
Yeah.
And we don't have any legends since we moved into the Emirates. So
That's a great question. No legends since the Emirates.
Not in my opinion. Obviously, I come from an era where there was an abundance of legends in the
Well,
team.
at the moment, I'm agreeing. I'm trying to
Closest to is Fabregas, in my opinion. Closest to it doesn't mean he was the closest to it. If he stayed on and we won a couple things with him, then maybe. But closest to, Aaron Ramsey, yeah, he scored a couple in the whatever. He's not a legend. Sanchez, nah. Ozil, nah. Van Persie, less said on him, the better.
Do you know what? It's how it ended
Cazorla,
with so many
injuries.
of these players.
Yeah.
In terms of level and ability, a lot of those were probably
there. Like if Cazorla had the consistency and game time, he probably would have made it into that debate, let's say, depending on what we won around that time. But through one reason or another, either players leaving too early, snaking us, or injuries, we don't have any Emirates era legends, in my opinion.
I think I'm inclined to agree. Let us know in the comments.
Tasha says Arteta.
What an answer. Icar says, Turkish, Arteta's goal when he took over is to win the Champions League in his third year. We are not even in the Champions League. Why are you guys not bringing this up? He has to be held accountable.
But this is what I'm saying. It's up to you to listen to the rubbish that comes out from the club sometimes. Yeah, Willian signed for us. Yeah, and he said that when he spoke to Arteta said Champions League in 3 years. That is nonsense. And if you believe that at that time, then that's why you're upset with it now. There was no chance of that. I don't even believe that's what was said. It's just that every time a player signs for Arsenal Football Club, it's either Arteta was a massive part of that. Edu was it's all PR to get things, get us all moving in the right direction. I don't listen to much of it, if I'm honest. Obviously, with Jesus and Zinchenko, there's ties to Arteta there. And I think he played a big part in them coming to a team that hasn't got Champions League football, believing in him and so on. But in general, Willian coming in and saying we're going to win he's been told we're going for Champions League in 3 years. I put that in the bin straight away. So people shouldn't hold on to that. Just know that it's nonsense coming out from the club.
I mean, I didn't take it seriously. I also just thought, how was that getting achieved?
Not with Willian on a free, that's for sure.
Cyrus says, Turkish, not sure you know, but James keeps making fun of you for how cold you were on the plane. On the plane flight to the US. Yeah,
it was funny though, I can't lie. It was funny. Looking back, it was funny. At the time, it wasn't. At the time, it definitely wasn't. But I'm glad everyone agreed that it was cold and I wasn't doing... That's the funny thing about it. Lee judges. When the cameras are off, he's there moaning as much as I was. It's cold. I'm like a bottle of milk. Like, I'm going to be ice cream soon enough. And then as soon as the cameras go on, it points to Lee. He's like, he fucking moans a lot, doesn't he? I'm like, Lee, you've just been moaning for 10 minutes about it. The camera's switched on. You want to act up? Cool. I'll take that. I'll be the moaner.
Do you know what it was? I even said, actually, when I was here live with Robbie, I said, listen, I felt exactly the same, but what was getting me through was your reaction to the situation, which is so bad. I should have been in pain with you, but I just found it way too funny. I'm sorry.
I'm surprised none of the cameras caught when I slept for like 5 hours with the blanket over my head.
I know.
And the peak of my hat allowing me to breathe because the blanket, because someone else said, Brennan said he tried to do it or he was going to do it, but I didn't know how I was breathing. But it's the cap. This is why you wear a hat, people. This is why you need to wear the cap, just in case you're on a cold flight and you need that blanket over the head.
It was just you and your tea about 6 hours in. I thought.
Don't even remind me. These lot bought around ice lollies. First they was freezing us with the temperature, then they brought around ice lollies. Virgin, I don't know what's going on over there, but come on, man. Branson, saw your hat, my guy.
Clint says, James, with the outgoing business we're busy doing, we're going to have a deadline day signing. I think there's one more. I said it this morning. I've been saying on all the shows, I think there's one more to come. I was hoping for 2, but trying to rein it in a little bit. I think there'll be one more.
And we had a good debate on Forever Arsenal. I'm not going to do it here, but we had a good debate on whether that midfielder comes in to strengthen Thomas Partey's position or to upgrade on Xhaka's position. Me and James are on Forever Arsenal, so we won't go through it again. But after this show, Forever Arsenal came out a few hours ago. Make sure you guys check that. It's on YouTube now. Obviously, love for the love over the last couple of years over on the AFTV VIP app. But because of that love, we brought it over to YouTube. So it's going to be at least once a week on YouTube, if not twice, to preview and review the game weeks coming up. So look out for the first one. It's been a little while, so there's a good mix of banter, a good mix of vibes, knowledge, all of that.
Especially we do those midnight recordings because we're all so busy. So when can we all get together? 2 a.m. and here we are. Just like
Lee was yawning on last night's one, and I was thinking, is this guy still waking up at 5 a.m. to lie on the sunbed and tan?
But no, that podcast is back. One of the other things we asked as well was what your first choice back four would be. If everyone was fit and firing. It was a great question because
difficult to say.
The answer
we agreed.
What we agreed, but you know what I really want to say, and unfortunately it makes for absolute pants content. My answer is I don't know. Like, I actually don't know. And the reality is that's not a problem I've got right now. Tomiyasu's injured. White starts right back, Saliba centre back, and on we go.
But going into Leicester, it looks like if Tomiyasu's recovery is on track and he's returned to full training this week, another couple of weeks of training, maybe go into that Leicester game, it becomes a question, or the Bournemouth game, it becomes a question.
And the Palace performance and result might then dictate how much of a necessity it is. If Xhaka struggles the first few games, I'm not expecting him to because he started really well in pre-season. But if Xhaka, isn't looking at it in the first couple of games, then you're looking at Tierney and thinking, well, does he come in and do we move Zinchenko into midfield? I'm going to keep making that point, even though everyone tells me to stop. JC actually says Zinchenko looks good. Tierney not worth risking. I agree. He's obviously talking about it from the left. So William says Tomiyasu, Saliba, Gabriel, and Tierney is his back four.
That was ours.
Yes, it was.
That was ours.
Yeah, it was Zinchenko in midfield. That was.
Lee and Jordan went with a little difference in the back four, but we'll let you guys go over and check the full video out.
Yeah, go have a little look. Right, so that's the main news of the day. We've really well and truly tackled this Leno thing over the last week. I don't think there's really much more to add, and best of luck to him because I think some people say, when they say you shouldn't praise someone for doing what they're meant to do. That is being a professional, getting on with it. But football's not the best of industries sometimes, and he has played very well when called upon. A lot of people, including himself, might be wondering, what's Ramsdale coming in for when I'm here? And he just got on with it and delivered when he was called upon. And I'm grateful to Leno for what he gave us.
Good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope he does well. Fulham, when I grew up, were not far from me. So while I don't exactly have a second team, I always quite like the idea of them. Brentford.
I like Fulham Stadium. It's an old, it's an old school type.
Yeah,
I like the older stadiums a lot more than the new commercial ones.
Let's talk about Lucas Torreira.
Do we have to? Listen, there's some players I'll say good luck to, but I've only got a couple good lucks to hand down. We've got at least 8-9 to leave this club. So Leno will get one of those good lucks. I'm not sure who's getting the other one that I have left, but Torreira won't be one of those.
Well, look. Torreira,
unfortunate, I will say. Unfortunate because I think there is a decent player there.
I think there's a good player in Torreira.
I think his attitude and I think he's quite soft, if I'm honest.
Something. I don't like speculating about these kind of things, but something doesn't make sense. You get a loan move to Atletico, so clearly Simeone saw what he could do. Didn't work there. Fine, cool. They're a top team. They won the league that year. He would have played his part in some manner. Then you go to Fiorentina and did really well. Scored a few goals. Player of the month a few times. Arsenal are not asking for a king's ransom here. They're asking for 5 to 10 million for a player who has shown over the last 6 seasons he can play in Europe's top 5 leagues. They didn't take it up. Now he's off to Galatasaray. Are they playing Champions League football? I'm not sure.
I'm not even sure.
I'm not sure. I
don't think they are.
Okay.
I don't think they are.
He's going to Galatasaray. And I'm not saying that's a better or worse opportunity than Fiorentina or whatever. I'm not here to judge the teams or the leagues in that way. But it staggers me that he did so well somewhere and they weren't willing to pursue it beyond just that loan spell, when he's also got a history of playing very well in Serie A. We picked him up from, I want to say Sampdoria, I might be wrong.
It was Sampdoria.
Yeah, we picked him up from Serie A anyway.
Yeah, it was Sampdoria.
It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Something doesn't add up. You know, Arteta didn't really give him a load of chances. For some reason, Emery felt the need to change his position from, you know, it's like Guendouzi and Xhaka were players that Emery was really, really behind. And so he felt the need to get Torreira playing more box to box. I don't really understand that one either. So there were a few things that just didn't really make sense with Torreira's career and trajectory for me. And
hence why I'd call it unfortunate.
Yeah,
I'd call it unfortunate, but at the same time, he didn't help himself with the way he's talked ever since he's fallen out of favour. I think he might have been given another chance had he been more on another chance, but it seems like as soon as push came to shove, that was it.
Well, I'd love to know why he didn't stay for the rest of the tour. Because it's not like he left and the deal was signed and sealed. So why did he not stick it out like Runnison, like Leno, like Bellerin, who only got a handful of minutes? I'd be interested to know that.
Maybe it was close to a move that just didn't happen. Maybe.
I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I want to believe something was happening and then it fell through, rather than believe that he didn't fancy it. But we've had no indication.
Yeah, we have no idea.
We've had absolutely no indication that was the case. You're always going to be like, okay, so you were there. No, I don't know. Anyway, but again, fair enough. You've only got a few good lucks to wish.
Yeah.
I will wish him good luck because I think there's a good player in there, and he came up against one of the best Liverpool sides. They were in their prime at that point under Jurgen Klopp, and put in a big performance there, a big performance in the North London derby under Unai Emery when we beat them 4-2, and he had some really big performances in Arsenal shirt. And actually, we've had a lot of players over the years that we've said they're talented, but do they turn up in the big games?
Yeah.
Fairness to him, he was one who turned up in big games, I think.
Yeah.
And it just didn't happen.
Yeah, it's not a good luck for me. It's a C.
It's a C.
C.
It's not going to be, if I ever leave, is that the C, James?
No, you might get a good luck from me.
Oh, wow, thank you. What about Cecil?
At this moment, it's a C with Cecil.
Was it the Jesus stance?
No, it was Rashford links. When I heard that in Orlando, I said, nah, enough's enough.
Oh, bless. He'll get good luck from me, Cess. But don't worry, no one's going anywhere. Right, let's talk about another potential player heading out, Pablo Mari.
He'll get a good luck.
Okay.
He'll get a good luck. Listen, he came in.
There's a video in this.
I don't think he's been as bad as people are making out he was for us.
I agree.
He's definitely for me a better defender than Rob Holding. And that means for me he's probably been our third best centre back for the last couple of years. But it just seems like he wants consistent game time. He got unlucky with that injury against City, even though in that game against City he was quite exposed. Mm-hmm. That injury against City was pretty much that's his Arsenal career done.
Right.
We moved. Remember towards the end of the COVID season.
Yeah.
After that, it was pretty much done for him. We moved on. Gabriel comes in.
Yeah.
I think Holden signed a new contract that January.
That's a very good point. Yeah, that summer I think.
And from there, you can see that he's not resting on his laurels, trying to get a paycheck and stay at the club.
Sure.
He's actively tried to move, and you don't actively see him talking as much as Torreira has talked, for example. He's just out there trying to find the club, whether that's Udinese, Monza, Verona. I don't know. I'm seeing various Italian clubs linked.
Well, apparently he did well at Udinese when he went on loan. So again, I wonder why that's not.
Well, apparently they still want him.
Okay.
But again, why can't we get any sort of income for these players? It's crazy. I
like Mario a lot. I think he's a good passer of football. I think he's quite a mature player. He's in. He had a lot of loans when he was at Man City. He went to Brazil, played his football. We brought him back to England, and I think he's got something about him. But did he maybe lack a little bit of pace? I'm not even sure he's slow, but he just didn't always look the most agile necessarily, the most quick off a couple yards. And
that was his downfall.
But I remember him being a part of some of Arsenal's much better performances when he was starting alongside David Luiz in that 8th place season that didn't yield an FA Cup. But he was playing a big part. In him and David Luiz had quite a good thing going, and quite a good thing. I mean, listen, in the grand scheme of how that thing, in terms of how that season went, it was one of the positives in defence, I suppose. I quite like him. But
anyway. Yeah, I didn't mind him. But at the same time, I know he's not good enough to be a start for Arsenal Football Club. So it was more a make way until we sort our defence out. And now we've got Gabriel Saliba and Ben White, in my opinion, as third choice. I think we're in a much healthier position in that department. So he's not happy being fourth choice. Rob Holding is happy being fourth choice. So the decision's made there. Yeah.
Let's end on just some news. And it doesn't actually even involve Arsenal. It involves James Maddison and the links to Newcastle. I would love us to go in, see what Newcastle negotiate. Breaking news, Newcastle and Leicester agree £55 million fee. Let's just imagine that. And Arsenal go, 55, is it? Cool. It's 55 and £1.
Good old Wenger.
Yeah, just back to the good old days. But I'd let them, you negotiate. And then they'll say, listen, they'll have a bidding war, I'm sure. But I would still go for this guy. And I know he's not exactly the profile of central midfielder we need. But I think there's this lovely balance in this De Bruyne, Bernardo-esque kind of, I know they're not as good.
So where are you going for Odegaard and Maddison?
Odegaard, Partey, Maddison. You know, like one who's a real output player in the final third, one who stitches it all together, and one who you play through. I think Odegaard at the moment, the pressure's on him being the 10 because we don't really have a 10.
Isn't that what Vieira's meant to have come in for?
Well, maybe. But again, I think Vieira's more left-sided, can maybe play out wide. I think Maddison is more he's a good carrier of the ball. I think he'll make those same darting runs, you know, that kind of like beyond the defence. Good on set pieces, will score a few free kicks a season. And I think is just more of a difference maker in the final third. So if we sign nobody else but James Maddison, I would be so happy.
Let me ask you a few questions. Maddison or Tielemans?
Maddison for me, and I know that that's borderline irresponsible. It's not exactly what we need, but I would go with Maddison because I just think players with such serious output in the final third from midfield are so rare that I would rather try and turn Odegaard into what we want Tielemans to be and have Maddison than get Tielemans.
I can see where you're coming from there, because when we signed Vieira, I thought maybe that's what we're going to do with Odegaard, move him into the 8 and then have Vieira more.
Yeah, sorry to keep banging on about it, but when Pep first arrived, people would have thought there's no way you can have Fernandinho as your holding midfielder with David Silva and De Bruyne. You'll get run all over. That won't work in the Premier League, and he did it. And I feel a little bit the same about our midfield three, while it's not the same quality, and I've got to keep saying that before the comment section go at you. But it's the same profile, it's the same idea, that actually if you've got the ball, don't worry about if you've got the ball and you've got tenacity and work ethic, you don't have to be 6'3" running around crunching tackles, because you dominate, you know, to your strengths. And
if I add Paqueta and Savic into the equation, is it still Maddison for you?
Yes.
Just because you want that that Pep
Milinkovic Savic gets me thinking, but
because he would be very different in profile and
and he could do things in the final third whilst also being a real box-to-box presence. They're all very interesting, you know, from Maddison, who we've been linked to last summer, to Paqueta, Tielemans, Milinkovic, Savic. We need all four, yet they're all slightly different in some way, which kind of shows you that there is a degree of adaptability to Odegaard's role and Vieira's role and all that. So I think they'll do something. Well, listen, it was only a week ago in Orlando, I was arguing that actually the last bit of business we'll do is a wide player, and we'll probably see Zinchenko play in midfield, which is again then another slight tweak on that role. But then the more everyone talks, it sounds like it's going to be a central midfielder, and all the kind of leaks and rumours are...
That first super chat still in my head regarding Felix. I'm thinking now, just get a midfielder in, hold out on the forwards, get Champions League football, and bring Felix in next summer.
That would be pretty special.
But I'm dreaming.
But got a dream.
Yeah, let me dream sometimes. Until Palace this Friday, and then
Yeah, what's this? Hamzik says, I'm sorry, James, it's just not the same quality, is it? Let's be real. I'm not sure who he's talking about there. AK24 says, James...
I think he means in terms of Man City, when you said De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva. I must mean that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you mentioned, it's not the same.
Absolutely, but the, you know, the concept's the same. And slowly, hopefully they improve, hopefully you add more, and you know, all that. AK24 says James Maddison is weak. We don't need soft players in the team. I don't think he's weak at all. I don't get the Maddison hype, says Mr. Burko. Okay.
Well, he's just had his best season, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Productivity-wise, I think he's just had his best season. Maddison's a very good player, 100% a very good player. And I'll never turn my nose up at a very good player, even though I think we need to strengthen in other, maybe not a department, because you're saying it can work in that position, but I still think a Savic, 6'1", a bit of a box-to-box, bowls better. Maybe it makes me feel more comfortable in the midfield position than adding another midfielder that really wants to be in and around the opposition box.
Yeah, I agree. Did we read the super chat from Omar? Says back five: Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, White, and Tomiyasu. Wow, there we go. Name says, in terms of quality, does Arteta have a Premier League title in him? Listen, we don't know.
Not with Pep and Klopp in the league.
Exactly. And this is a guy at the very start of his managerial career, which sparks is a point that a lot of people point to anyway. Well, why is it Arsenal?
Until he's done it, he doesn't have it. So to answer that question, he doesn't have it because he hasn't done it. So
I will say this: he's shown he's got trophies in him. He's won one already. He's shown he can win things. Done. That's one thing. Whatever happens for the rest of his career, he'll say, I've won an FA Cup, and that's more than a lot of top managers can say. So, we'll see. Hopefully this team grows with him, and we'll see. But listen, all starts in a couple of days.
He's getting the backing.
He's absolutely. Amir says, we're not strong enough to compete for the title, obviously, but we're strong enough to compete and possibly win isolated games against Man City and Liverpool. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's the next step you have to take as well. Put up more of a fight against Man City and Liverpool, because it's been a little while since we've done that, and that's not the be all and end all. Yeah. Because again, I mentioned that Cazorla Coquelin midfield 2-0 away to Man City. Everyone thought that was a change and a sign of things to come, and it really wasn't. Yeah. But it is part of it as well. You want to get them thinking at this moment in time. Regardless of what we do against Palace, listen, I want us to send a message to the rest of the teams against Palace, but those rest of the teams are Man United, Tottenham, Chelsea, West Ham, Leicester, whoever. Yeah. Man City and Liverpool, you send a message in the games you play against them, and recently the message we've been sending is, we're not on your level. You're going to roll us over. Let's change that perception this season.
And I think there were signs of it, even though we lost both games at home to City and Liverpool. There were signs of it in the last two home games where we were commanding a degree of respect in terms
especially that Man City game. The way it all crumbled was a bit of a joke. But
Michael says, isn't Maddison just like Odegaard? I mean, not in my opinion. I mean, maybe in terms of the positions they want to play on the pitch, but not in terms of what they want to do with the ball when they've got it. I think Odegaard does want to score goals and create, but I think he's very controlled. He's very... He wants everything to flow through him, and he'll try and do the right thing, whereas I think Maddison's that little bit more unpredictable.
Got an eye for goal. Yeah. Maddison's got more of an eye for goal.
Yeah, that little bit more ruthless, I think, in the final third. Yeah. But all right, we'll leave it there. Big thank you, Turkish. Really enjoyed it, guys. Outgoings, that's all that's going on at the moment, which maybe isn't a bad thing. Listen, we still want incomings, but I can understand what with Palace coming up, there's bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, we've done enough to take care of Palace, Bournemouth, Leicester, Fulham, and that's our next 4 games. In my opinion, we've done enough. Whether the team and Arteta go ahead and do it, that's another story. We'll see. Yeah. But I think we're in a position where we can wait a couple of weeks for the midfielder.
Second all that. Absolutely. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Big thank you for joining the stream. Really enjoyed it. As always, we'll be back tomorrow. Not sure who's on tomorrow's show, but we will, you'll find out tomorrow at 5. And check out everything that's coming out. There's loads of content. We've got a little Tactical Insight Light coming out. It's just a little look back at pre-season. We've got the Forever Arsenal podcast that's out. Talk is cheap. There's so much coming your way. So do check it all out as we are gearing up and getting ready for Palace. I'm going to be there. I'm getting nervous now.
Yeah, hopefully you're a good luck charm, you and Cecil.
I hope. I had some good trips, like Leicester, Villa, had some good trips, so let's keep it going.
Continue that momentum.
Right, leave it there. Big thanks. Catch you on the next one.
Peace.